He is the Rivian dad, and he has been kind enough to bring out both his Rivians, the R1T and the R1S, the first ever electric SUV by Rivian. Scott, why don't you introduce yourself?
The channel is Rivian Dad. My name is Scott Lunt, and we kind of just focus on transition to electric vehicles with the family kind of angle. Can you really own an electric vehicle with a family and take it out to the mountains and snowboard? And it's cool, we got all three lined up here because Jimmy's is on the end over there.
Right.
The R1S just arrived. Originally, we weren't sure if we were gonna take both, but we decided, you know what, we just got it. And there's a reason, which is that the R1S kind of is a different form factor. We have kids, it's got 3 rows.
The Rivian R1S got the highest Doug score ever. Doug DeMuro.
This is the Rivian R1S.
One of the goats of YouTube car reviews. That's pretty darn impressive because it's not the highest score for an electric car. It's not the highest score for an SUV. It's the highest Doug score ever. And so I needed to see this for myself, why this car got such a high rating. From the front, they're almost identical. It's got the same oval-shaped or pill-shaped lights. You've got the light bar across. You almost can't tell the difference between these cars, except if you look here at the top of the car, the trucks, the R1Ts, they're painted on the top. But what's different up here?
This is the little trim silver piece. And it's really obvious from a distance when you're looking from the front, like, oh, that one's an R1S, it's got the silver trim.
Otherwise, from the exterior, it is identical. And then as we move back, that is where the real difference is. So it's an SUV, 3 rows, seats 7 people. The SUV is different in size from the truck. I pulled up the truck next to the SUV, and while they look very similar, one of the big differences is the size. The R1S is about 18 inches shorter. If you don't like driving around big, bulky vehicles, then the R1S is actually a really good sized vehicle.
The length is about 18 inches shorter. The wheelbase is a little shorter as well. It does drive a little differently, and Jimmy hasn't driven it yet. You'll have to give me your impressions about that.
That is set on off-road mode to this highest setting, and the truck is at 15 inches of clearance, and this is at 8.5 inches of clearance at its lowest setting. It's amazing that you can do that all just with the touch screen.
It'll also dynamically change for you as you drive. The software knows you're going faster. It'll go lower for aerodynamic reasons. And of course, you can do off-road and go up super high, and that's really useful.
So basically right now, Scott is going to change the setting from its lowest to its highest setting. We're going to speed this up though, because it takes a couple minutes. This is at its highest clearance, and that was just touch a button on the touchscreen. Super easy to do. And then, just as easy as we went up, we can make it go down. Scott, why don't you roll?
All right, let's go down.
What's the clearance now?
Now we're at 8.5 inches clearance.
8.5
so we went from
inches.
14.9 to 8.5 in just, I don't know, 30 seconds or so.
If you've seen my R1T videos, then you're familiar with the inside. I mean, you come in the front, it's basically the same interior. It's so new, it still has the plastic cover on.
You'll notice on the left stock, you can control both windshield wipers, the front and the rear. Otherwise, I haven't noticed any differences in the front. You have the same storage, the same charging pad.
In the front, the SUV and the truck are basically indistinguishable. You have the same trim, wood finish, and you also have the same portable speaker that you can use for camping. It also works as a lantern. And out here, you also have the same built-in flashlight that we've actually used several times while going camping. You can use your phone as a key. You can also use this key card, and you can also use this key fob that looks like a carabiner. What don't you love about the charging pad? I know it's slippery, it's not as grippy.
Pretty tough to get it to actually charge the phone.
Okay.
So if you noticed, I have these wires here plugged in because that's easier, right? Which is a miss, right? I do have one more quibble, I will say.
Okay, let's talk about the quibbles.
It needs a glove box, for heaven's sake. Rivian, where are you doing with this, man? It needs a glove box. I also would like a handle here, but I understand that the airbags are here, so the A-pillar can't have a handle here. Otherwise, it's top notch.
If those are his main quibbles, as we'll call them, then that's pretty good.
the second row. And of course, it's super cozy, right? You can fit in here just fine. And this is actually not all the way back. And I can recline this second row seat, which is really nice. Actually, this is really comfortable, even a little bit more comfortable than the R1T because it reclines a little bit more, and there's just a tiny bit more leg room here.
You are how tall, Scott?
I'm 6 foot. And it should be noted that the R1T's back seats are very comfortable.
And then the R1T, there's storage under the seats. Not so in this, I would assume.
There's not storage under here.
For an average height person like myself, 5'10", I mean, this is plenty spacious. And this is set up for a 6-foot driver.
The star of the show, as you pointed out.
Yes.
Hit this little button here.
2 more seats back here, right? You're gonna push this button here. When I crawl in here, and now that I'm seated, I just pull this seat back. I've got plenty of room. Now Scott's coming in, and he's pretty tight, so he's gonna want to recline this.
I'm gonna recline just a little bit. Now I'm very comfortable right here.
This is the leg room that I have here. It's a little tight for 2 adults. So here's the other seat.
This is all the way back.
All the way back.
Yeah,
So
that's back to its locked position.
This is all the way back.
And I've got like 6 inches here in between my knees and the forward
plenty of
seat.
room there for 6 foot.
So really,
Scott?
if I had a third person, if I had a person in the third row, I'd move this up.
That's the kind of guy Scott is. He's very considerate. He's going to scoot that seat up for me. Not everyone's going to do that for me.
Here, let me give you something, Jimmy.
Especially my
you want to
kids.
relax your legs a little bit? Check this out.
Oh, there you go.
You can just throw your legs up there.
Okay.
Or your skis
there
or
you
whatever it is that you want to use.
All right, now we can relax.
Check this out, by the way. Amazing Rivian engineers.
Oh yeah, so as
That
you
little
move this,
lever comes down, which is glorious because of course you don't want that lever poking out when you're gonna catch something on it.
if you're in my family, really all my kids need is steady power supply and a good internet connection. I'm assuming the R1S comes with data, right? Wi-Fi.
Yep. Speaking of power connections, there's USB-C right there.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
One on each side for the kids.
USB-C.
And the headrests of the seats, of the front seats. So I want to say one thing. See these little bits here on the window? So
Yeah.
many people think that those are heating elements. I've learned that those are antennas. So that's the antenna for the FM radio.
I thought it was going to be much more cramped than it actually really is. I could go on a road trip sitting back here. It's not as big and as spacious as like a Suburban or an Escalade, but this is very practical.
And then I can show you its other cool feature. Now watch your feet. This is one of my other concerns, is that it's a little tight there. And you can see here, this is one of my favorite features, a little tailgate. As you know, like with a minivan or something, if you have a big lift gate and you have stuff sitting here, it often will fall out, but this one, it doesn't. You can trust that it's just gonna sit right here. And it's strong enough to sit on.
Auto folding, there is no auto unfolding in the R1S.
That one folds down. That one folds down. To get them to unfold, you have to walk all the way around. You gotta push this release button and then fold it up there. And then you're probably gonna wanna recline it just a little bit more.
This is not a smooth surface either to lay or to sleep on or to slide like heavy objects, boxes, whatnot.
The Rivian engineers put in, and thank you for this, is you can pop that and make it a smooth transition.
This tailgate you can sit on, you can use it for parties. I think it has a weight capacity of up to 500 pounds. And then you can lay down and relax. I like this. Yeah, so check this out. I mean, I'm stretched out, 5'10", top to bottom. I'm not touching the tailgate. And this is very spacious.
But you might be wondering, Jimmy, where you put your luggage.
Yeah.
Well, you got a little extra storage space down here.
Okay.
And underneath this is a spare tire. Now, if you chose to not have a spare tire, which I don't recommend, you would have extra storage space down here.
In all of the Teslas, they do not come with a spare tire. It's to save on weight so you can have more energy efficiency when you're driving.
You know this from the R1T. That is an air cable that you can use with this particular air compressor right here. You can inflate the undersized spare tire here.
I did use the air compressor on our off-roading trip with the R1T. It worked beautifully. This is where we inflate the PSI.
Pretty damn cool that comes in the car too.
I went with 2 other off-roading vehicles, and they had just their traditional pumps, and it was loud, it took a long time. This was amazing, and everyone was in awe over the pump system.
But there's more. Right here is a 1500 watt 120 volt outlet. Of course, you got these little tie downs as well that come out and they slide back and forth so that you can push the little button, you can slide them and hook things to them, one on each side.
But if you're short for storage, what else do we have, Scott?
Well, my family are gonna take a road trip, and we're a little worried about not having enough space here to pack all our things in, but we have another solution. My son reminded me, like, well, Dad, just put things in the front. I'm like, of course. Because there's a whole bunch of storage space here too. And this is a lot of storage space. Like, we crammed most of our camping gear into this one space. And normally when we're on road trips, all that stuff is crammed around our feet and behind our heads and sides and so on. And this way you can stow it all away and just be comfortable inside the cabin of the vehicle and not have to be stuffed with all those things.
An amazing vehicle, outside, inside, but I need to take this for a drive for myself to see if this is really worthy of having the highest Doug DeMuro score. We've gone over the outside and the inside of this R1S, and now we're going to take it for a spin. We have this set in sport.
I am very curious to see if you can tell the difference driving.
What's up, guys? First drive in the Rivian R1S. It's awesome. Right now it feels very familiar. Woo! So it's zippy. Oh yeah, that feels good. We ended up selling the Tesla because this is faster than the Tesla.
I'll take it right. That's fine.
Okay.
Either way.
We got a car coming. So the nice thing about the instant acceleration on these electric vehicles is it can get you out of sticky situations. Last night I was driving the R1T. There was a guy, he was obviously drunk or falling asleep at the wheel, swerving. I was honking and flashing my lights. He wasn't really doing much, and I was able to just zip right around him, and I just loved the confidence, that the power, the instant acceleration. The other thing too is the one pedal driving. This whole time I've been driving, I've never had to step on the brakes because you get this regenerative braking, and the power from this regenerative braking actually is harnessed and put back into the batteries. The whole layout here, it looks just like the R1T, minimalistic, but not Spartan. It's not like the Tesla Model 3 where it was just too bare bones. With this, I like the wood trim, I like the extra screen, I like the stock with a couple extra physical buttons. This is a very nice setup for me. Some people still would prefer more buttons. For me, I think this is a good balance. One of the things that I don't like, and it's the same with the Tesla, is the climate control. And so when we turn on the climate control and we try to adjust these, I think this is just over-engineered. I do like a little manual thing to move the little vents.
I want to point out one thing that you may not have noticed. We're on a road that's has a lot of bumps in it. It's bouncier.
Mm-hmm.
It's bouncier than the truck. The truck is very stable.
Okay.
But the SUV rocks back and forth a little bit more, I've noticed.
It's got the power and the acceleration of like a sports car. You can fit 7 people in here safely. It's like our minivan. I love that you can use this for off-roading. So this is like the amazing do-it-all vehicle. Sports car, off-road machine, minivan replacement.
You might think, well, the truck is really the off-road vehicle and the SUV is kind of a hybrid. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, the SUV has better breakover angles, better departure angle because of the shorter wheelbase. It actually is a better performer off-road.
0 to 60 in just about 3 seconds, I think 3.2 seconds. This is actually faster, a touch faster than the R1T, and the range on this is a little bit more.
2 more miles or something.
And what do you think that is, Scott? Why
the
extra range?
I think that's a tiny bit lighter.
Okay.
And a tiny bit more aerodynamic because of the roof of the back.
So the same DNA as the truck, just in SUV form, a little bit smaller, tiny bit lighter. It's a little bit more nimble on turns.
Left at the next street.
Okay.
Now here you get a little bit of the turnaround.
Turning radius. Oh wow, that was pretty nice. So
And
I had
left
to
again. We got a car coming though.
Okay. So I am not very familiar with this area. Scott is, and Right there, I just had to make a really quick turn, and there was a car right there that I didn't want to hit, obviously, because this isn't my car.
But you would hit it if it were your car?
True.
Okay, take it right here.
I would feel much worse. I do feel like it is a little bit more nimble in terms of being able to turn, making these tight turns. Scott's probably getting a little sick. He's probably...
No, I'm good. I'm good.
The truck has a very specific purpose. I mean, I can use it for off-roading and for traveling fun. And my main purpose is moving large packages, large personal electric vehicles from point A to point B. So it has a very specific purpose. This, though, I feel like you can still use this to move large amounts of gear because you have all that space in the back, but you can also move a lot of people. Having driven the R1T and gone from the R1T to the R1S, I think maybe that takes away some of the thrill and the excitement, because I know what a Rivian drives like. And there's a couple things on the SUV, and I do love the acceleration, so we'll just go accelerate. The gear tunnel is a big wow on the truck. You don't have that here. This has a lot of the cool things found in the R1T in the truck, minus some of the coolest things found in the truck. But the ability to see 7 makes this super useful. Got that Tesla there.
So it's alerting you right now that there's a person next to you.
It's a Tesla Model 3 that's kind of right on my butt. It's probably because he's never seen an R1S.
Let's get a little freeway experience at higher speeds. See what you think, Jimmy. All right, so we're up. Oh man, even at 50 miles an hour, you can still feel that.
Yeah.
Oh, we're now at 80. Nice.
I love the high-end torque. In the Tesla Model 3, when I'm going 60, 70, and I try to gun it past that, it has a hard time. It's not as punchy. Another reason why we decided to keep the Rivian and get rid of the Tesla. Because it's so quiet, you hear the wind in the cabin.
I don't think she's ever been up to 80 miles an hour before.
And I have not ever gotten a speeding ticket. This is going to be a hot seller. I think it just appeals to that demographic that wants to move a lot of people around. You need a carpool vehicle, you need a vehicle that'll fit the family, you need a vehicle that's fun. This is it. It doesn't get better than this. I see why Doug gave it such a high score. I mean, he's driven a lot of cars, over 800 video reviews on his channel, so I believe he knows what he's talking about. It can replace a minivan, it can drive fast like a sports car, it can go off-roading like a Jeep. I've got a big family, I've got 4 kids. We go up into the mountains, we go on family trips. This would be amazing.
This is an entirely new class of vehicle. It is the only 7-seater EV on the market that can also easily go up in the mountains, go off-roading. It's a first of its kind.
Truly a premium, fun, amazing electric experience.